Hello, and welcome to the Table and Well podcast. I'm Tennison.
And I'm Ginelle. Thank you for joining us as we discuss topics and give practical tools that help you live, grow, and be in healthy, joy-filled relationship with God, yourself, and others.
For more information and resources, or if you're looking for coaching, connection, and community, visit tableandwell.org. We hope you enjoy this podcast. You are listening to Fingerprints, how God is transforming the relational health of his family. All throughout this series, you will hear transformational stories from everyday people just like you. But what if this transformation isn't just for them? What if it's for you too? I want to let you know that it is for you as well. And that's why we've created Relational Collabs, intentional spaces where this type of transformation becomes real. These are small, safe communities where you will practice the skills that will help you grow and build joy, rebuild your trust, enable you to stay present in the middle of hard moments, help you deeply connect to God, yourself, and others, and experience the authentic connection that your heart was designed for. See, this is more than just another class or a book study or even a Bible study. This is real life. This is hands-on. This is heart-connected, and it's changing lives. If you're tired of disconnection, and if you're longing for something more, don't just listen to these stories, become one. For more information, or to join our fall collabs starting in September, go to tableandwell.org/collabs. You were never meant to walk this journey alone. And your healing is part of how God's leaving his fingerprints in the transformation of the relational health of his family. Hello, and thank you for joining us today on the Table and Well podcast. We are in our living room.
We are.
It's pretty awesome. I'm excited to be here. And we are in our series. This is going to be the third episode in our Fingerprints series, how God is transforming the relational health of his family. And like we have talked about the last couple ones, this is just a podcast where we're going to talk to leaders and friends and people that you know, maybe you don't know, and just see how God is transforming the relational health of his family and hear their stories. So we're really excited to do that. And today, we have a friend with us. We have Hannah with us. She was in one of our labs, and I'm excited for you guys to hear her story.
Yeah.
And to get to know her. So Hannah, thank you for being here.
Hannah.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So glad you're here. So do you want to just jump right in? Do you have anything you want to say?
Do that.
All right, let's do it. Or you have something you want to say?
Yes.
I do.
Yes.
Okay, you guys. So today's been a great day.
Yeah.
Everything has gone to plan for the most part.
Love that.
So I pull onto your street.
Mm-hmm.
I pull into a house. And I am trying to figure out, do I park on the road, in the driveway? I just pull in and think, I'm just going to go in and ask them. So I knock on the door. No one comes. I thought Tennison and Ginelle are the type of people that really wouldn't mind if someone just walked in their house.
Oh, no.
It's true.
You are correct.
So I opened the door and went in. They're like, hello? I'm like, hey, who is it? Hannah. Wrong house.
Wrong house.
Wrong house.
Oopsie.
So they weren't expecting me. They weren't expecting anyone. And oh my word, she's like, this is the best place for you to walk in and do this. I told her my name and she pointed me in the right direction. And I didn't disconnect and I went on my way and it was wonderful.
So you met a neighbor.
Yeah.
I did.
Do you remember which house it was?
502.
502.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not 512.
Got it.
Got
Okay.
it. All
Yeah.
right.
All right.
We're going to have to go meet 502.
Yes.
And say,
We're Hannah's friends.
yes.
They seem great.
We'll just walk in.
That's good. That's so funny. When you got here, I was like, come in. And you must not have heard me because we are totally people who are open to you just open to you just walking in. So
I love that.
And now we know our neighbors are too.
Yes, that's great. So you may have to take them up on that.
Right? That's awesome. So tell us a little bit about how you got started on your relational health journey.
Well, I think that God has been working in my life for a long time. When I was little, I grew up with a lot of fear. And I grew up with a lot of shame about who I was and who I wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
And I also had this sense that there were a lot of people around me who had this relationship thing figured out. And I had somehow just like missed it.
Oh.
Yeah. So I think when I got to adulthood, I wanted some tools and I needed some help.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah. What did it feel like when you talk about missing it? Like, what did that feel like for you? Or what were your indicators that you felt like you were missing whatever it was? If
yeah,
you can name it.
I think what comes to mind is friends.
Mm.
Like it was really hard, even just saying hello, even just meeting people and learning how to start relationships.
Yeah.
Like from an early age, I just remember with school specifically, like just having like school friends.
Yeah.
Seemed kind of difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you consider yourself shy? Or like, yeah, like I would think we would term that as shy. Is that how you felt? Or just unsure?
Yeah. The words I learned when I went to school were cautious and reserved.
Okay.
And so those really resonated with me.
Yeah. Shy
was, it's not a pain point now, but that was a tough word growing up because a lot of other people called me shy. It was kind of like, it's okay. She's not doing this. She's shy. It's okay. She's standing in the back. Like, yeah. So I wouldn't say that about me, but kind of that same kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So it almost felt like just a label, or like this is what she does, or this is who she is, and that's really not
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
Totally.
I could see that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So was there anything as you moved towards adulthood? So you said you kind of grew up with this, like everyone else had it, you didn't have it.
Mhm.
Was there anything was there any like one incident or anything specifically that you're like, okay, I need to really start growing in this space relationally? Or was it always this kind of like, I need to figure this thing out and I want to find some tools?
Yeah, it was always it was that kind of sense. I remember since like first grade. I think when I got older and started to have friends and even be interested in dating, that was kind of a moment where maybe I first started going to counseling.
Okay.
So that was probably the starting point. Yeah.
Yeah. So how long have you been on this journey? Like starting counseling and really moving into learning the skills and learning the tools? How many years or how long have you been on this journey and this path?
Probably about 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And was your first step counseling?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Just kind of like traditional talk counseling.
Yep.
Probably at a church with a pastor, like a youth pastor kind of thing. Yeah.
Yep. So when did you feel like you started to gain some tools and really, because I'm sure I'm hoping and I'm assuming that along the way that your youth pastors and people that you talked to gave you some tools or gave you some things that you could do. But when did you really kind of feel like you were starting to grasp it? Like you're like, oh, this is what's happening and this is what isn't happening, or I see this now and I've got some tools to be able to do something different in the relational space.
Yeah, I think looking back on it, I think that going to school for psychology, I think that was a big setup for the work that I'm doing now with relational health. In 2020, I took a class called Living Fully Alive. Okay. And I think that taking that class and doing some of the practices, I really started engaging and realizing like I have the tools. I'm actively working.
I love that.
Yeah, on this. So that feels like an official maybe starting point when I knew.
Check.
Yep.
I love that. Yeah.
Would you say that when you knew there was more out there or more that you could experience, the title of that Living Fully Alive is intriguing?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like the language of, we talked a lot about emotions. We talked about, it was the first time that I kind of learned about there's a person inside of me who needs care. And it's really easy to see like everyone else around me. But it's great when we have people who can validate and attune with us, but also we can do that for ourselves.
Yeah.
Like all the time. We're with us all the time.
Right.
And
You
so
go where you're with you everywhere you go.
that's it. Yeah. And so I learned about putting my hand on my heart and talking to my heart and about my emotions and sitting with them and being aware. And you guys, it was all super uncomfortable at the time.
Yeah.
It was all brand new. But yeah, that feels like a big moment in my story. Yeah.
I love that.
That's really cool. Yeah. Usually when we share that with people, they kind of like look at us like we have two heads. Like, what?
You can talk to your... Yes, you can.
I noticed you hesitated. Like, talk to myself.
Wait a minute.
And we give ourselves a hard time for that. But it is so powerful. I love the way you put that, of realizing that there's that. What did you say? Someone inside needs care.
Yeah.
And I can do that for myself. There's actually ways for me to do that for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah. Because that's usually the wrestle, right, of that discomfort or the pain that we're experiencing, is that there's parts of us inside that just need some care and attention that maybe they've never gotten.
Right.
And we're looking for someone outside of us to do that for those parts of us. And it turns out we actually can do quite a bit of that for
ourselves.
us. Yeah. If we have the tools,
and
the understanding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
So on this journey, you realize that you can care for yourself, talk to yourself. So as you've grown in this space and in other tools that you've gathered along on your journey, what has surprised you the most about yourself on this journey and with the relational health? So what's been the biggest surprise for you?
That I'm awesome.
Yes, you
Yes,
are.
you
I would
are.
highly
Yeah.
agree.
I think, about me
Yeah.
is like learning, like taking away a lot of that shame. Like, I'm okay how I am, how God made me, and my identity.
Yeah.
Yeah, have been big.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
It's huge. Yeah, it's really hard to be in relationship when we don't know who we are, or we don't value who we are, so we don't know that we're awesome,
Mm-hmm.
right? We approach relationships very differently
Yeah.
when we think we're less than maybe everybody else, or something's wrong with us, or somehow we're unwanted or broken. Like, those are all things that we end up playing as tapes inside of our own heads, and then trying to show up for a relationship with that playing in the background typically doesn't work out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Knowing that we're awesome when we walk in a room is a game changer.
Yeah.
I love that for you.
That's
Thanks, Ginelle.
And I would agree. I so enjoyed all of our hours together in collabs. Yeah. I just so appreciated everything that you brought to the table. And gosh, you're such a brilliant question asker.
mm-hmm.
Have you always been a great question asker?
Maybe.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe. That's really kind. I think more recently, that's another thing that I've learned about curiosity and being curious, and have enjoyed like getting to know people kind of in that way. Yeah.
Yeah. It's always fun to learn on a deeper level.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because oftentimes when we're talking, we'll kind of share something surface,
Mm-hmm.
and then we'll move on if
Right.
no one asks us a question. But asking that question just takes everything one level deeper.
Mm-hmm.
And it says, I see you and I hear you and you matter to me. And you do a great job at that.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah, you do.
So if your journey has been 20 years long and like really kind of kicked off in 2020, what brought you to Table and Well? How did we get so lucky to meet you?
Wow. I was still, it was in community. People were actually inviting me to the table and being curious about why I wasn't speaking up. And that led to more conversations, and someone who knew about you guys suggesting that this class could be really helpful to continue to learn and grow. And
Yeah. So what was your biggest takeaway from our time together? What was the thing that kind of brought you the most transformation?
One thing that I keep coming back to is joy.
Mm.
Yeah. I like to tell people the definition of joy.
Yeah.
I'm out like walking a lot and just whatever I'm doing in life, just being mindful that I can like catch people's eye and we can smile at each other, and that can like that really matters.
Yeah.
And for all of us. And yeah, so that's one thing that I keep coming back to.
I love that. Would you consider yourself a person of joy prior to collabs?
Oh, I think joy was like, I'd heard about it, like in church, like in the Bible, right?
Yeah,
like
just
we
choose
kind of
joy,
know.
right?
Yeah. I think I just, now the way that I understand it, I get to practice it. I get to tangibly, it's in my life, versus before it was just kind of this idea that I didn't really have language for. Yeah.
I love that. So how has that, so can you maybe explain the difference of that? So where before you kind of knew, but now it's tangible. How is your life different because of that?
I think, like what we were saying a minute ago, that we can do so much. Like we can be that person who can talk to our hearts. We can be that person who is conscious about joy and creating joy moments. And there's like a responsibility, like not as much a victim anymore, but like I actually can take action.
Yeah.
And I like know what that is.
Yeah.
I love that.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
It reminds me of being a powerful person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
I'm curious, what was your favorite lesson out of collabs?
Oh, I know that being a powerful person was a big one. One thing that I was reminded of when I was reviewing was about the trust cycles. I think was really big. And the question of knowing what I need feels really important in my life right now.
Yeah.
And so that's something I'm focused on, and just being reminded again of the trust cycles and to re-engage in some of that work.
Yeah. Yeah, it's constantly there. It's always a space we can grow for sure.
Yep.
Yeah. There are levels and layers to trust cycles. Yeah. And it's everywhere.
Always.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, how has your growth affected like friends and family and your relationships now? Have you noticed a difference?
Yeah. I know with my dad, this work started a few years ago. In 2017, God healed my relationship with my dad.
That's awesome.
Which was miraculous.
Yeah.
And even more recently, I've noticed like him being more tender, and some of the interactions we've been having. It's just been really sweet to hear him even know about me, that just how I'm talking and being more open, and how he didn't notice that before. And so that's been, and other people reflecting like that this isn't just like, this is Hannah 2.0.
Yeah.
I love that. Like it's real change, which is kind of nice, because it's like I think things are happening and changing, but to hear it reflected back, has been helpful.
Yeah. That's a huge part of it, because you can go on this journey and do all the things, and like you said, it's always this idea of like, well, I think I got it, or I think I'm changing, or I think something's happening. And then to have a family member or a friend, or even someone who doesn't know you from Adam say something, that affirms in you that, oh yeah, there's a change here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it just kind of gives you a little boost to keep going. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because there's the internal change, and then there's the external change, and they both matter.
Yeah.
But usually the internal one is long, dark, and messy. And then when it's finally seen on the outside, it's like, okay,
here it comes.
Okay, it was worth it. It was worth it. I've made it somewhere. Yeah, that's so cool.
So I'm curious, because you talked about the insight journey. So I'm curious for you, Hannah, what's something that on this journey, what's a part of you that's come alive that maybe wasn't alive before?
I think that another part of my journey was when I went through the 12-step program.
Okay.
And I think that has had one of the biggest impacts, because I've done some of the work before, and I've done some of this work after. And now I'm doing the work where I'm actually like able to face my pain, and I'm actually able to I'm not avoiding.
Yeah.
I'm not numbing.
Right.
And so it feels very much like death to life.
Oh.
Like, yeah, that moment specifically of like going through the 12-step program, and now I get to be alive in the work I'm doing now because of that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so good.
That's so good.
That's really powerful.
Yeah.
In the way that like so many of us numb because we want to avoid the pain. And what I'm hearing you say is that you're facing the pain and you feel more fully alive than you've ever felt.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how can that be possible?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, it seems like an oxymoron of like pain usually is the thing that we avoid, and we do all kinds of things to stay away from pain.
Right.
Yeah.
When what we really limit is our ability to be alive, like working through that pain and facing it and processing it through.
Yeah.
It gives us freedom on the other side. Like we get the both and.
You get the both and of it.
Those big emotions and the pain that we've experienced, and we still get joy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we still get a full life. Do you have any thoughts on that as well?
Yeah. It's kind of like emotions are kind of like a book. And when we numb something, we can't like selectively numb it. And so it goes to other things. And then when we're embracing, it's, the opposite of getting to experience all of them. Mm-hmm. Like the sadness with the happy and the anger with the joy. Like, yeah, it takes all of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it does. And that's fully alive.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. We want fully alive to be a, like a magazine cover or like a, in today's day and age where everything's
it's always here.
Yeah. So filtered and like, edited, that we want to believe that being fully alive is absent of all pain and life and messy. And it's really not. I think we all know that to be true. We wish it were different, but it is the both and of all of it together.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious, you started talking about the book, like that it's like a book. Were you meaning like if you don't face any of it, that book is closed? Tell me more about that.
Yeah, I was meaning that like originally I started to maybe numb sadness, not knowing like that it was also going to numb other things and lead into other things. And so I was just like, as you flip through, I'm also erasing other pages of the book.
Oh, wow.
Unknowingly erasing other pages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, hey friends, we have some really important news that we want to share with you of what we're doing here at Table and Well.
If we've had the honor to walk with you, you all know how much we care about helping people connect with God, themselves, and others.
After 5 years of retreats and collabs and workshops and community tables, we have seen and heard countless stories of families being restored, of marriages being healed, and leaders living more joyfully and maturely. So because of that, we're going to take this summer and put our full attention to completing our relational discipleship curriculum. This is so we can help to deepen and widen our reach and the transformation that we are seeing in the lives of those that we're walking with.
Yeah, it is the thing that people keep asking for. And it's honestly what we wish we had 20 years ago.
Absolutely. I mean, it's really practical, it's accessible, and it's rooted in the transformation that we've seen in you and really in ourselves as well.
Yep. But here's the honest part. Table and Well is about $3,000 a month short in our financial goals and what we need to be able to finish this curriculum with the time investment that it takes.
And summer is always the hardest part financially. And without your support, we're going to have to put a pause on development and tremendously scale some things back moving towards the fall.
So we're inviting you. If Table and Well, if our work has impacted your life, your family, your church, we're inviting you to help us carry this forward.
Yeah, see, your one-time gift of $50, $100, $500 would be amazing, and any gift is truly appreciated. But really what we're asking, what we're needing right now is monthly support. What we're looking for and asking is for 15 people to give at least $200 a month. If you could do that, that would take care of our immediate needs.
Yes, and 25 people at $200 a month would really help set us up well as we go into the fall.
Yeah.
twice as many as that would actually ensure that Table and Well is sustainable well into 2026, which would be absolutely amazing.
Yes.
So together, we are bringing relationships back to life.
Yes. So thank you for your support and walking with us on this journey.
Thank you.
How we would say it in Table and Well language would be your capacity has grown to be able to be with yourself, to be with the emotions, to be with the feelings and all of that.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious for you, what was something in practice or something that you learned or something that has helped you to build your capacity, to raise that threshold of I can actually do this and it's not going to tear me apart?
I have a lot of great friends, and we have some of these conversations.
Yeah.
Something we learned in Table and Well was about modeling and how like we need that even as adults to know how to do something new.
Yeah.
I ask people now in my life, hey, can you model that for me? Like, what would it look like
I love it.
for me to, whatever.
I
like,
love that.
Like, let's
That's
go
great.
back and redo the situation when it comes up again. Like, yeah, tell me. So we just talk about things.
I love
I
that.
love
What
that.
a gift.
Yeah.
What a gift. Yeah.
Yeah.
So good. Gosh, I just love that,
Yep.
that clear ask.
Yeah. So it's, I've seen some fruit and I know that it's important. And so even when it gets uncomfortable, when I'm at home and I start crying and I don't really want to cry right then, I know that it's okay.
Yeah.
And I can just try.
Yeah.
And if it gets too much, I can try a different time or call someone if I need to. Like,
Yeah.
there's help. There's, I'm not alone.
Right.
Right.
Which is such a big deal.
No,
Yep.
Gosh,
Yep.
it's huge.
Right. And then the definition of joy.
Yeah.
People are glad.
Which is, go ahead, Hannah.
The deep knowing, the relational experience that someone is glad to be with you no matter what.
I love that.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what does that look like when you're alone?
Being
Physically alone.
physically alone. Yeah. So it looks like me being glad to be with myself. It looks like me not being too hard on myself.
Yeah.
That's something else we talked about is in class is just like always wanting to be yourself, even in big emotions.
Yeah.
And one of the things that came out in that conversation was when I'm really hard on myself, I've all of a sudden like gone somewhere else. And so it's like a red flag now.
Yeah.
That
That you have left you in a way.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
I've it happens with like looping or like sometimes I just get a little too dramatic.
Yeah.
Maybe it feels like a shift of like a lot of stress instead of just experiencing what really is.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah. We can pile things on. Yeah. When we feel overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Yeah. That idea of like leaving you and the looping thoughts and like being hard on yourself, I just really relate to that. And it makes me think about it. And the times that I do that, I do feel like it's almost like I don't know if I'd call it an out of body experience, but I can feel myself standing outside of myself judging me.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
Yeah. Like it's not an internal, even though it's all happening internally or in my own mind. If I could paint a picture of it, it would look like me standing outside of me, making critical judgments. So it's really interesting.
Wow.
That's an interesting thought of how we do that.
Yeah.
It's like the word dissociation comes to mind. It's kind of like maybe that's not my most me self.
Yeah. I love that.
I love
Not
that.
my most me self.
Most me self. I'm
I
going to
love
start
that.
using that one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah, because we know what that is. I think that's what's so interesting about the way God designed us is that somehow we know.
Yeah.
We know something, even if it's just intuitively and we don't have language for it,
Mm.
like there's something that we know about who we truly are
Yeah.
and who our best self is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Even if we've never really been able to tap into that, or we're not living in it
Right. Or we haven't
completely,
or we
or
don't have people to tell us.
right, no
who
one's
that is.
articulated it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
We
a
do.
sense of like when I am truly me and when I'm not.
Yeah. It's that inherent knowing. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
So I'm kind of curious around the topic of this podcast about the fingerprints of God and how he's transforming the relational health of his family.
Mm.
Like outside of your personal experience, or maybe even inside of your personal experience, how are you seeing that happen in a bigger way? Like I think once you begin to understand how important relationship is, you see it everywhere. And when you start to learn these skills, you see the need for them everywhere. How are you noticing God's fingerprints in the midst of your community or in just the world as a whole?
I think that kindness feels really important to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the story is like bigger to me right now than just in church.
Yeah.
And so that's like a place in my life that I'm processing right now. And so I think that there's like with people I know, with people I don't know, being able to connect with kindness, with like just seeing God's goodness in all of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I grew up with a lot of like rigid thinking and rules, and that things had to be a certain way, and it just seems like a little bit simpler and bigger and different than I once thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. What would be your dream? Like if you could sprinkle fairy dust and bring this, what would you bring and what would you love to see the outcome to be in the relational health of maybe God's family or the world? What's Hannah's dream?
That's a big one.
What a question.
Yeah.
What would Hannah put her hands to?
Yeah.
And her heart to?
Mm-hmm.
Because I think you carry a heart for this.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Mm.
I really care about other people's hearts. And like I just love what God's doing in people. And I wonder if there's like a way, like I would just want to be supportive. And like, you know, I think we can all just say a little bit less.
Tell me more. Tell me more about saying a little bit less.
Yes.
To be more curious.
Yeah.
And to just smile and laugh more, and for things just to be a little more lighthearted, and again away from some of the rules and however it's always been. Like it really I felt so seen in Table and Well. And one of my favorite parts was when we did we spoke over each other a couple of times.
Yeah.
And I listened to those again this week.
That's awesome.
Wow.
So I go back to them and they pop in my mind too. And yeah, there's just like a coming alongside, like a speaking from the Father's heart instead of like whatever my own understanding is. Like,
Yeah.
I just think there's even more than the goodness that we've already experienced. And yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. There's even more than the goodness we've already experienced. And a lot of it does come through curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And not our own understanding.
Yeah.
And keeping things simple.
Yeah.
Presence.
And heart connected and present. Yeah.
Yep. All the things that our society's not good at right now.
Not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Along the lines of collabs, I'm curious. You're a single woman in a collab with multiple ages, married couples, all of that. What was that experience like for you?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Because it was a diverse group.
Yeah.
It was a
Your
diverse
group was
group.
very diverse, yeah.
Yeah.
The way we like it.
Different countries, different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It was really fun, actually. Even I will say too, the online experience,
Mm-hmm.
which I wasn't sure about at first.
Yeah.
I felt like it was so intentional about connecting that I felt connected, even though we weren't in the same room
Yeah.
or the same country.
Yeah.
I felt really welcomed and like I didn't feel looked over, you know? So I did feel like I belonged there.
Yeah.
One of our check-ins, I checked in about just things I was wanting in my future,
Mm-hmm.
about maybe not being single
Maybe not.
forever.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Uh-huh.
And I feel like that you guys really embraced that. And there are some wonky responses that I've gotten to. So in the past with other people.
Yeah.
And so I was just really encouraged, like even to have that kind of a conversation and yeah. So I really enjoyed it.
That's cool. That's fun.
I have to say this. I have a story.
You have a story.
I do. Because I share this story actually quite often when we talk about check-ins. It was one of your check-ins. And not everyone watching is going to know, but it's good. It was the time you checked in and you said you just rocked it. You said you had a good week and you just rocked the week. And then we asked how we could care for you. And you said, can you just sit with me in this, just be with me in this emotion of rocking this week. And to this day, it still resonates with me. Every time I think about it, I can feel that feeling. Every time I share that story, and people are like, "Oh yeah, I would never have thought about that." And it's just like, so even not even, but just you being you and saying, you know what, just. You didn't gloss over it. You didn't say it was good to share. Thanks for sharing that. You said, no, can we just sit in that feeling together? And we were like, I remember everybody in the group's like, yeah, let's do that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just, it's to this day, probably my favorite check-in moment from a lab that we've done.
What was that like for you? Do you remember?
Yeah, I do remember. What I remember saying on the other side of that was, you guys, this isn't normal for me, but but I was able to check in that day with that thing. Yeah. So that was such a big, like, when we talk about being present with check-ins of like really having to slow down and you have your options of like, okay, this is what I want to ask for. Sometimes in those moments, I feel like it's high pressure situation. Like, okay, Hannah, come on, you gotta know the answer. So really just letting that come to me of like, this is what I want for this thing is truly what it was in that moment. And I felt even more in that moment too of just like sitting there with all of you guys and in an emotion. Like that was such a cool experience. Yeah.
Super fun.
That was a really cool
Totally.
Yeah.
Because I'm like tearing up from smiling so hard because I just, there's been so many beautiful moments. Because I don't think we celebrate as the family of God very well. Like we're learning what it is to mourn. And even in a lot of this relational health, it's like, okay, show up for people when they're having hard emotions. But we still haven't quite figured out how to celebrate or how to sit with like that feeling of I rocked it today, and sharing that with each other. Like for some reason, there's like some element of shame in the family of God around.
I had a good day today.
Something amazing happening to us or things being great, right? Like we often forget too that God's present when things are awesome and we rocked it. Like he doesn't just show up when things are hard or heavy.
Yeah.
That's right.
And so I think us practicing that as people is such a gift. And I think you really brought a lot of people joy that day that has lasted for a long, long time, and probably the rest of their lives.
Yep. And it's still lasting because when I share that story with people, they're like,
it just multiplies.
It multiplies it.
Yeah,
and so,
cool.
so it was a great moment.
Yep.
And it's in a continuing moment.
Yeah.
That's not stopped. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think one of my favorite things about you being in labs is getting to watch your transformation.
Yeah.
From maybe being more cautiously reserved, because it's a group of strangers and everybody kind of shows up in this like, how's this group going to go, you know?
Yeah.
And what is safe to say or not safe to say here. And just watching you become such a woman of wisdom, like spoken wisdom, in ways that I don't know that you even fully understood, but just watching you share and step in and ask curious questions, I just loved every moment of that. Like there's so many times when we would get off of labs and we're like, Hannah! We're like, we're just going to hand this over to Hannah and walk away. Like she's got this. It's just been so amazing and so fun.
Yeah.
What was that like for you? Did you notice that change in yourself? Or was that like just you sharing more of who you already are?
Yeah. I think it helped that we had at least kind of met prior, you know?
Yeah.
And I felt safe with you guys and we, built that over time. And so I think it was a space where I could.
Yeah.
I definitely lean more towards like being an introvert. And I do have moments though now where I'm like, is this what being an extrovert feels like? So
I love it.
To be continued. But being an introvert, like there's a lot of deep thinking. There's like if they say something, it's important because they're sharing. And if they're sharing with someone, it matters because they trust. And so yeah, I felt like it was a space where I could keep just trying.
Yeah.
Practicing.
Yeah.
I love that word practice.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, we do too.
Yeah, we do.
Because pressure's off, right? Like if we're all just practicing what it is to show up for one another well, then if we miss it, it's okay because we know there wasn't ill intent. We're just trying. And what can we do to maybe make it better next time or even improve it here in this moment? Knowing that we're all going to be imperfect along the way. Like that perfection and performance is off the table. And like, that's not what this is about. It's about all of us stumbling along and learning.
Yeah.
And holding that space for each other. Yeah. And that grace for each other.
And not getting it right most of the time.
Or getting it right
or
more
getting
times
it right
than
more
you
often.
Thought you might.
Exactly.
Because you don't know until you do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was truly, just to echo what you said, you can hear it from me as well. One of my favorite parts was watching you slowly, like I don't even remember what week it was, but we were talking, I don't even remember. I think it was a week when like nobody kind of showed up and it was just like three of us in there. Ginelle wasn't there for some reason. And there was like two or three of us in there and you're like, well, I'm just going to say it. And you just said it. And I was like, yeah, I don't remember what you said. I don't remember what week it was, but I remember you saying that and me going, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, just it was a joy and it still is a joy. This is a joy. This has been.
Yeah. Getting to know the inside of you has been amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. You're an amazing woman.
Yeah.
So we're really grateful for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is there anything that you would want to share with anyone who may be thinking about starting this journey of growing in relational health, learning some skills, learning some tools, that maybe have some reservations about where to go, what to do, or how to do it? What would be something you want to tell people?
Like just in general?
Unless you've got somebody specific in mind that you want to say something to, you can pretend that they're here and say it. But yes.
Or pretend that it's to somebody general.
Yeah.
Oh, man, it's worth it. Like, it's worth it. That those, just when we have those realizations, those thoughts of like, I want to go learn more about this, or I'm wondering about that, or just being in pain and having a really hard time. Like, I think that's normal for a lot of people. A lot of people have been there. And, there's so much more. Like, there's a whole different life. If you want it, I say do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it.
That's awesome.
Hannah, thank you for being here. It has been a joy and an honor to walk with you on this journey, to keep walking with you, and to have you here in our living room and to have this conversation. So thank you for being here. Really appreciate you.
Yeah, I really enjoyed being with you guys. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Right now, so much of God's family is living disconnected. We've learned how to manage, perform, and survive. But we haven't been taught how to stay present, how to live from joy, or how to truly connect with God, ourselves, or each other. That's where you come in. At Table and Well, we're helping people rebuild what's been lost. We're guiding them back into life-giving connection, where joy is practiced, presence is possible, and relationships are restored. And when you give, especially as monthly supporters, you become part of this relational revival. You make it possible for someone to enter a space where it's normal to be seen, known, heard, and safe. Where community isn't just talked about, it's experienced. Where joy isn't the reward at the end of healing, it's the foundation we build from. As one participant said, not only do I have the tools to stay connected to myself and others in the middle of heavy and big emotions, I can. This is the kind of transformation your partnership makes possible. You have the opportunity to help restore the relational health of God's family, to develop healthy people who build safe communities where joy can be felt, received, and sustained. This doesn't happen by accident. It happens because people just like you say yes. Go to tableandwell.org/#give and become a monthly supporter today. Together, let's help the family of God become the safe and healthy family that we and the world both need.